All right, everyone, this is Marco Palmero, founder of Ulysses in Dubai. And in this video, I want to talk about the dangers of starting a business from scratch and some of the alternatives available to people who are interested in getting into the business arena. And I want to share my thoughts about this topic because I see a lot of preachers online saying that starting a business is one of the best things you can do. And don't get me wrong, I believe in entrepreneurship. I am a business owner myself, but I still believe that many times people don't show what are the risks associated with starting a business, and they try to sell sort of like a fairy tale dream to many. And I think that is wrong, and people should be fully aware of what they're getting themselves into before they actually decide to start a business. And also they understand fully some of the alternatives available to them that might actually be a lot better. And so let's talk about some of the dangers of starting a business, or a startup, as the current movement would call it. Well, first and foremost, most of the startups fail. That's just data that you can look at online. Most businesses that are started have failed after 3 years. A whole bunch of them fails after 5, and very few of them are around after 10 years of operation. So all considered, I think more than 95% of businesses are not around after 10 years of operations, which is kind of like a scary statistic, right? But in addition to that, one of the things people don't realize is that it's very difficult to bootstrap a business without any capital. In most cases, you're going to need to put down something that you have, some liquidity, some friends, fools, and family money, and stuff like that to kind of get started with this operation. God forbid you take on debt for that. The problem with all that is that you might wait years before you actually start to see returns. And yeah, there are going to be a lot of people online telling you how you can make money in 4 weeks, or follow my 3 months challenge and I'm going to make you a millionaire. But we live in a real world, and some of these cases don't really apply. And I think we should be very pragmatic in our approach when we look about an opportunity for starting a business that can influence all aspects of our lives. Now, interestingly enough, other than the capital that you put down that you might need to wait to recover for many years, there is this process, this startup phase where you're constantly struggling to build something out of nothing. And I'm saying this because I started companies myself. I built them, and I realized how hard it was to kind of take something from zero, basically, and make it into a real business. And a lot of times people are kind of like, I would say, blinded by the fact that this is the area of entrepreneurship, and they think everything is going to be very, very easy. But the problem is the reality is a lot different. And in many cases, there are going to be hard years of struggles, and nothing is guaranteeing you to succeed. I mean, it doesn't really matter that you're struggling for 2, 3, 4 years. At the end of it, you can still fail. And so a lot of times people need to be aware of that before they take that leap. And in most cases, starting a business might not be the best option for many. In some cases, that particular investment can be allocated towards something significantly better that can potentially generate the same outcome. And one of the concepts that I stress a lot on this channel, which I'm sure you've already noticed if you watched other videos, is this idea of acquisitions. Now, in many cases, when we talk about acquisitions, we talk about leveraging acquisitions for 7, 8, 9 figures business owners who want to grow their company to the next level. But the point is, acquiring companies and buying businesses is something that is accessible to basically everyone. And in most cases, the interesting thing is that you can tap into an established business with basically the same investment that it will take you to grow a company from scratch. Now, that presents an alternative opportunity to starting a business, which has Of course, some risk, but also a lot of benefits to it. The first is that you're stepping into a business that is already working. You already have revenue, customers, systems in place, and you just need to build on that or maintain those things. And then you can immediately start seeing a return on your money. You don't need to wait years before that business starts to function. If you buy that company correctly and that business is generating cash flow already, then you're going to have the ability to pay yourself a dividend, a bonus, a salary, whatever you. And that is one of the most interesting things that kind of like reduces risk compared to starting a business. The beauty of that aspect is this: you're fundamentally buying de-risked revenue, which means you don't know how much money that business owner needed to invest into that business to take it to that particular level. You know, that company might be a $1 million a year company, but you don't know how much money out of his own pocket that guy put into the business to generate that 1 million a year in revenue. And so in most cases, you might get that business for a lot less than the amount of money that guy put in, and that is going to be a bargain for you. And of course, you're not going to have all the risks associated with starting a business. Fundamentally, that guy before you took the risk on your behalf, and now you're benefiting from what he has built over the years. So compared to starting a business from scratch, acquisitions are really a no-brainer. The point is, many people don't realize how accessible they are and how simple they are, provided you're working with the right people and you have the right advisors on board. Now, to the same degree, if you are a business owner generating 7, 8, 9 figures a year already, why would you stick to internal growth strategies alone, right? Let's say that you have built that company, you believe in a startup dream, and now you have 7, 8, 9 figures a year business. Why would you stick to internal growth strategies alone when you can look at acquisitions that can actually propel you to a completely different level? The beauty of acquisitions is that you don't really need to change anything you do in your business on a daily basis. You can just add this growth strategy to your portfolio. And once you have a business that is matching your own acquisition criteria, you can buy it, integrate it into your own system, and keep growing even faster. Of course, there are many ways you can go about it. You can work with companies like us that take care of the entire process of acquisition, or some of the aspects of acquisition depending on your needs, or you can go about it yourself and do it alone. Now, getting back to my initial point about the risks of starting a business, other than the high failure rate in the time that it takes you to grow a company to a certain level, you're also going to be faced with a very dangerous situation, supposing you are able to scale that business to 7 or say 8 figures. And once you get to that level, what you're gonna face as a situation is the risk of having your competition try to crush you. Because as the major players are gonna start to see other businesses as a threat, or your business in this case as a threat, they're gonna start to think about ways you can damage them in some way by stealing market share and becoming one of the key competitors, becoming one of the major players in the industry. And generally speaking, there are going to be 2 ways these guys go about solving this problem. The first is they're going to try to crush your business and push you out of the market. And the second is they're going to try to acquire you. That is, again, one of the strategies major corporations have used for years, and they continue to use to maintain dominance in the market. And so if you have started a business that is growing and that is starting to deliver results, you might end up in a situation where when you are finally seeing some fruits of your labor and your efforts, somebody bigger than you is going to come and try to, either buy the business or crush the business completely. And so I don't mean to be catastrophic when I'm sharing this. I'm just putting out some real life examples and situations that I've seen happening many times. I think there's a lot of naivete when it comes to starting a business, becoming successful, growing it into a unicorn. And a lot of times people are not realistic about how the business environment really works, right? I've seen so many cases of companies that have been crushed out of the market simply because they weren't able to grow fast enough, or they weren't able to accept the fact that they needed to sell to a major player. So all those are risks associated with starting a business from scratch, and provided you accept the fact that you might get bought out later down the line, that is totally fine. But if that is not something that you are contemplating, then building up a strategy that is much solid, which focuses on scaling the business exponentially so that you avoid that kind of friction that is generated when you start to become a threat, then I think acquisition can be a good solution, because fundamentally you are acquiring competitors that will not be a threat for you anymore, and at the same time you're unlocking vertical growth, and that enables you to position your business into the market in such a way that you're too big to be crushed anymore. And so at that point, people are either going to leave you alone, or they're going to try to buy you out, but at that time at a very huge premium, which it's kind of ideal. But again, the point of starting a business, I think it's kind of far-fetched. A lot of times we don't realize as entrepreneurs all the risks that we are taking on when starting a business, not only the ones that I just mentioned, but also our mental health, our financial health, and our personal lives. Now, a lot of people would say, yeah, that's something that I'm willing to do because I believe in entrepreneurial life, but not necessarily you need to go through all the struggles of starting a business simply because people are trying to sell you this narrative that starting a business is the best thing you can do and it's going to be like a fairy tale. You don't necessarily need to believe those things. I mean, I started a few companies myself, and I'll be telling you, it was painful as hell. And until I discovered the fact that I could acquire other businesses, and that was a lot less dangerous, risky, and painful for me, I was stuck because it was very, very hard. And so I'm not saying that starting a business is necessarily a bad thing if you have the guts and if you're willing to go through all the pain that it takes to build a company to a certain level, and then still accept that this thing might fail at the end of that journey. But if you're not willing to go through all these steps, and maybe you wish to be an entrepreneur or business owner, then considering acquisitions is probably a good idea, because you're going to mitigate your risk, you're going to allocate substantially similar amounts of capital, and you're going to get access to an asset that is much more stable in terms of how it operates, how it generates money, and how it is established. So if you're interested in finding more about how acquisitions can help you scale your current business or help you buy a business that you don't currently have, check out the link below. There's going to be a call that you can book. We have limited slots because it is offered for free, and at the end of it, we're going to put together a plan to see whether or not acquisitions can fit your specific case. So make sure you check the link below, and I'll see you in the next video.